because my wife, not my secretary, the lady that answers the phone is actually my wife when you call the network. This put a lot of pressure on us. She is the finance person. She's the person that does the books. And I'll tell you how bad this got. And I have real empathy, not sympathy. Empathy is when you can empathize with somebody because they're going through something similar to what you are. Sympathy is when you just give condolences to somebody, but you've got no idea how they're really feeling. Well, empathy is the key word here. My wife doing the books, handling the finances, looking at what amount has to be paid to whom and on what date is bad enough in a startup operation. But it's doubly bad when the guy that starts the network now has to wear the hat of the guy that he hired. So this was a contentious little time here. It was not exactly smooth running with Mr. John Clayton. So we do the Republican National Convention, of which Best Price Coins, by the way, put up a sizable chunk of money for Jack to do the DNC, and then the RNC, which, by the way, went totally sideways. And I'll get around to the Best Price issue here in a second. But during this convention, Jack and I are in the same room, and he expresses to me his remorse and his regret because he knows he hasn't been doing his job. Now, I was told when he comes down, when we come back from this little RNC convention thing, and it was a circus to begin with, that he's going to put his nose to the grindstone, and John, don't worry about it, everything is going to be okay. Now, with assurances from a person that demonstrates that he can do a job, you have a tendency to want to believe the guy, okay? Which is exactly what happened. Now, I'm not putting Jack Clayton on this broadcast. He can just wait. No, it's John Clayton. It's not Jack Clayton. It's John Clayton. At any rate, so the onus is square on my shoulders. So talk about being really contentious after that statement was made and admissions of guilt or innocence, however you want to view it. We come back to Texas, and it's the same old deal. Now, keep in mind that people that are listening to this broadcast right now that are witness to this entire thing, I'm not making any of this up, and I'm not sour graping. Yes, I am a little angry and a little upset because there was another talk show host on a relatively obscure radio station down here in Central Texas, I seem to remember, putting up on the national airwaves, giving him his national start. That's right. His name was Alex Jones. And the reason I mention Mr. Jones is because I have an eye and an ear, especially an ear for talent, and I knew this guy was loaded for bear and ready to go off. On the other hand, I'm dealing with a situation here, and it's not getting any better. Now, and I want you to understand how bad this really got, to the point that my wife and I are arguing. She's moving to Florida, and we're talking about who gets what pets. That's how bad it got. And a lot of this comes from the money situations. Now, after I get the rah-rah speech here, that I'm going to come back, put my nose to the grindstone, and I'm sorry, John, I failed you. I know that. I'm really going to I'm going to double my efforts when I get back. Nothing is done. I am forced to chase the guy down at his house. I told him, I called him earlier in the day, told him I was coming over that evening, and I wanted to talk to his family. It's not his wife, it's his girlfriend, Tony, and they have a newborn baby, which I understand that this is the second time this has happened, but that's more of a personal nature, and that's his business. But it falls into a pattern of what I'm seeing here. So upon arrival over there, he's got a friend or an acquaintance or whatever it is. He wasn't even going to let us in to talk to him. Well, we stood our ground until he sent his friend or his neighbor or whoever it was home, and we walked in to have a little talk because we want to find out what really Jack Blood is all about. What are your true intentions? And from what I heard that night, I'll tell you, folks, I do have a tendency to have a temper, but generally not for no good reason at all. In other words, you rub me the wrong way and you rub me hard enough, I'm going to respond and react to you. Now, I kept my cool during this whole dialogue and this whole conversation, asking him, what do you intend on doing? I have to know. I've got a network to run. What are your intentions? Well, I wasn't prepared for what I got back. First off, You're here to fire me? Just go ahead and fire me. I said, no, I'm not here to fire you. I just told you the reason why I'm here, to ask you what your true intentions are regarding this network. And I said, Jack, there's many other options here that you can do. One of which, if it's more conducive and comfortable to you, is just drop back, relieve yourself of the responsibilities here, of all this pressure that you feel, and I'm sure the guilt that you're feeling for not performing what you said you were going to do in the first place. Now, you can drop back, just do a show, work on your website, do your book, whatever the case may be. The network is here at your disposal. Any computers, of course, you can come in and do the show out of the studios, anything that you want to do. And by some people, I was called stupid for even offering that. So the following day, came into the office. 5 minutes later, he's walking back out of the office happy as a clam. He repeated back to me everything that I told him the night before. This is what I want to do. I just want to do a show, work on my website, and do my book. And I went, oh, geez, I've heard this before. But okay, buddy, you've got it. And it was shortly after that the duplicitous one set out to go to another network. Now, as I said on an earlier program, that I am not a person that is jealous of anybody's success. I plucked somebody from a relatively obscure radio station in Providence, Rhode Island. Relatively unknown. The man comes to the network, we give him all the support necessary. He builds a show, and then he decides that he doesn't want to do this anymore. Now, I knew Jack was conflicted. I was sitting in here in this very studio last week before his program just to chit-chat and ask Jack how he's doing. He said, things aren't moving fast enough for me. I'm getting really, I think he used the term edgy, if I'm not mistaken. And I said, well, Jack, why do you feel that way? Have you seen the charts and the graphs? We're tracking what this network is doing, and we are on a 45-degree incline straight up. Not we're having a good month and it dips a little bit and then comes. No, we are on a 45-degree incline in listenership to this network, and with good reason. Because of the quality of the programming, the truthfulness, the honesty, and the integrity. Remember about a month ago I used the term integrity, and I've asked people to think about that term? Well, I was told by Mr. Clayton at that time that I don't know if I fit on this network. This is a Christian network. And I said, Jack, I don't think everybody on this network is exactly a Christian, and I've got no problem with your show. Just relax and just do your show. He should have told me at that moment that he had plans on leaving the network, but he didn't do it. We'll be right back. Which leads me up to this. This is the message that I have from John Clayton that was emailed to me on Sunday afternoon while we're at the gathering over at the Fajita Warehouse, Jack McLam and John Moore. This is what I got. Dear John, by now you've heard the news. I'll no longer be broadcasting on RBN. I had planned on meeting with you Monday to discuss this in person, but I hear the info was leaked before I could do that. The purpose of this letter is to both officially tender my resignation and to clear the air so there are no misunderstandings. I am grateful for the opportunity to be a part of history in helping to launch and grow RBN. I came here to do just that and feel